skirts discarded on the floor, her mother openly despaired of her prospects. What right-minded citizen of Ravenna would marry a girl who climbed up the trees in her underthings? Her mother called, "Cordula, Cordula!" but there was no one in the house who would answer that question. X, 1883. 2 years before the christening of Cordula, Guglielmo Cantarano published his study of X, a 23-year-old Italian. In excellent health, X went whistling through the streets and kept a string of girlfriends happy. Even Cantarano, who disapproved, had to admit that X was jovial and generous. X would throw a shoulder to a wheel without complaint, could make a room roar with laughter. It wasn't that. It was what X was not. X was not a willing housewife. X remained unmoved by squalling infants, would not wear skirts that swaddled the stride, had no desire to be pursued by the hot breath of young men, failed to enjoy domestic chores, and possessed none of the decorous modesty of maidenhood. Whatever X was, Cantarano wrote, it was to be avoided at all costs. Thus, X was locked away in an asylum, and Italian mothers were instructed to watch for signs of deviance in their daughters. Even those who had normal breasts, Cantarano cautioned, might turn out to be like X, whose apparently standard genitals had not prevented the attempt, late one night, to set the family home on fire. C. Poletti, circa 1897. She shut the insistent voices of her family inside the house and went up her tree. From a haven of leaves she looked out over the cemetery. The tombs of poets were wreathed in laurel and etched in glorious verses, while the graves of the ordinary listed as their only accomplishments the names of children produced or a spouse bereaved. So many dead in childbirth, she observed, and so few by shipwreck. Her mind was a tangle of lyric odes and unconjugated verbs. Each line of Ovid demanded an unspooling of which object bore the action and by whose brave hand. Each epithet, traced to its source, showed the divine moving behind the scenes of human life. In her tree was a great rustling of gods, owls, winged serpents. As soon as she finished the Latin primer, she went on to the Greek. She stayed up late. Rapturously late. It became apparent that she wasn't Cordula at all. Lina Poletti, circa 1899. Towards the end of the century, she changed names. Cordula sounded anyway like a heap of rope. Lina was a swift, sleek line, a hand brushing a row of buttons. Lina was the one who would read Sappho. Lina lived with her family on Via Ratazzi, not far from the tomb of Dante. A tomb is a dead place in the ground. There is a rock on top of it, covered with tiny nicks that are words. Lina stayed up late, writing verses for the tomb. Not for Dante himself, who had been dead since 1321, but for the incisions that words make on immutable substances. It would be many years before we learned of Lina Poletti. In her childhood she dwelt alone, her only companions the solemn constellations of the night sky. The refrain rang through her house, "Cordula, Cordula," but Lina listened only to the silence of stars. Eventually she would learn to translate Sappho without a dictionary. She would find that she was one of us. But in those years it was a great wonder that Lina, unlike X, did not set fire to the family home. Lina Poletti, circa 1900. As the century turned, Lina Poletti outpaced her classmates in classical subjects from elocution to the elegiac mode. Moreover, she kept her distance when they paired off to walk home, or passed each other scraps of crude rhymes. Lina walked alone to the Biblioteca Classense and noted various uses of the genitive. The genitive is a case of relations between nouns. Often the genitive is defined as possession, as if the only way one noun could be with another were to own it greedily. But in fact, there is also the genitive of remembering, where one noun is always thinking of another, refusing to forget her. Sappho. Fragments 105A and